Right. So I grew up in Ghana. Um, Mom and dad were in Amsterdam. And then as a 5 year old, skipping, hopping, follow mommy and daddy everywhere they go in the garden. I was mommy's handbag all the time. And then something actually happened. I didn't know what happened because I was 5 years then. And then I heard my dad shouting at my mom, and my mom said, I cannot do that. But, I have to. Well, you have to. Other than that, I'm leaving. That's all I can remember. So my mom woke up at 3 a.m. I remember very well because that was when I was learning how to tell the time. So she packed her bags and start looking for her passport and everything. And then the next morning, we were at the airport that early, within 24 hours, everything changed. We are at the airport, and mommy couldn't say anything. Her eyes were red. You could see she was crying, but she said everything is okay. And then we landed at Ghana airport. We saw grandma, we saw the family. We were happy. And then a few weeks later, where is mommy? And everybody was looking at us, me and my little sister. She was 3 at the time. And then it seems like there's something they need to tell us, but nobody was saying anything. Well, we got used to it. Grandma made us adopted the situation. We got used to it. Food, everything. Well, she tried her best. It was a crowded house, 33 grandchildren with grandma, and it was a big house. So everyone, even some of my uncles and their wives and their children are also living in a big house. And then we got used to it, big environment, saw myself growing. And then when I was at 11, I started asking questions. And then my nan said, um, your, your mom and your dad are no longer together. And your stepfather said, um, he doesn't want you and your sister with your mom. It's either you and your sister or um, whatever he decides. So I'm getting emotional now. Anyway, so to cut a long story short, at that time, mommy decided to send us to Africa to grandma so she can focus on her new marriage. So growing up, education and everything, some days you get a school fees to go to school because there we pay. If you don't pay, then your uncle can tell more because he's from Nigeria. So. And you have to pay for everything, uniform, no donations or anything, charity or whatsoever. So you only go when your parents or your grandparents can afford it. Mom was illegal in Europe, so for 15 years, she cannot legally work and get any money to support us back home. So it's just uncles and aunties who send us around selling everything that needs to be sold apart from ourselves. We sold everything that we need to make and come to me. And then, yeah, so growing up, education was on and off. And because United Kingdom colonized Ghana, our main language, even though we do have our local dialects, we still, the general one for education is English. And therefore, you need to be in the classroom to speak it. My grandmother never went to school, grandpa never did. And some of them were like me, education is on and off. It's either you learn a trade to be a hairdresser, as whatever you need to do. So personally, I'm a hairdresser, I'm a dressmaker, and I can do everything that there is to do with sewing and crafting. And so that's what we do to, raise funds for ourselves. And then one day, as a young girl, I was minding my own business. I had a conversation going on. You see, here, you talk to a child or you talk to anyone, everything is about communication. You tell people, even if you feel they can't understand you, you still have to talk to them. But ours is not like that. Adults make the decision, uncle witness that. Adults will make the decision and say, whatever I have said, that's all going. So it's either you listen to me or you are moving out. Where are you going? It's not like here, people can decide to live on the street and doesn't care about family. But even if they disown you to be on the street, you still are accountable to the family because you are putting a shame in the family. So then I had that conversation going on, and then they said, "Oh, she's the best candidate for that." Okay, whatever is going on, I don't care. I don't want to know. So they called me, met 8 elders. I remember very well, kings and queens, because I come from a royal family. It's not like here where it's posh and drill and dresses and everything. Ours is more of discipline instructions. When I say do not open your mouth, this were the eyes and this is how they talk. So I was standing in front of them, shaking and panicking, sweating. And then they said to me in our language that somebody have asked your hand in marriage. And I said, I don't even know how it takes to be having a boyfriend, let alone marriage. What is marriage? What do they do? You are going to have children, you're going to do this. So I started imagining being pregnant and having a baby, all that drama in marriage. So never thought of love. What is love? Because I never felt one. I was 5 and then I was come to my grandma, big house. There was no affection or compassion or anything. They feed you, they tell you where to sleep, and that's all I know. So what is this marriage going to be like? Okay, all right then. So they said we are marrying you for our son who lives in the UK. Who is this man? Because at the time there was no like photos or smartphones to do a video calls to see who you are getting married to. I've never met this man. I don't even know him. And they said, well, you are getting married, get prepared. So the whole house started preparing. 1st of December 2007, I saw them carrying things, asking my hand in marriage. So I've never cried like that. I cried and I said, well, I will make it work. Because after all, mom, I never grew up with my mom and dad. So maybe this is an opportunity to make it work. So I will make it work. This man came. I've never seen anyone so arrogant like himself. Because you see, once you have money and then you can tell people what to do, it's not like here, whether you are Richard Branson or you are homeless, everybody can speak their mind because it's freedom country. Ghana is not like that. You are elderly, you are rich, you belong to a certain family, then you can talk. So him coming also from a royal family, he then have the money, have all the means, and then say, what are you guys doing here? What are you doing? Don't you know something is about to happen? And I was like, is that the man I'm going to marry? I started sweating. Okay. They called us. Maybe he's not the one, maybe he's the brother. Because that man was old. So we went inside to the living room. Everything was being said, and they said, oh, can we see the groom? Oh my God. I saw him. He is 17 years older than me, very rude, very arrogant. And then he said, well, it looks like your family said we can get married. Not like, hello, my name is, or, I have imagined how I wanted my marriage and everything of my life to be. So all these things is something new to me. Wow, I got used to it because all that I'm thinking of is, where am I going to stay if I don't abide with what they are planning for me? So I just gave up and said, you know what, whatever it is, I know my Redeemer lives. That's what I said. And then went ahead to get married. Few weeks after the marriage, he traveled back to the UK, and that was it. Nothing like, oh, conversation or anything. Once in a while, he will call you and say, you are living in my house. I'm providing all the food. And at the time, I remember he sent me about 11 pounds every month. So that was a big money in Ghana, 11 pounds. I was grateful. And when the money comes, send this money to this place. And so you end up even spending all the money he have sent you to pay for electricity bill, everything. And he said he doesn't want me to work. I had my salon, I had my apprentices that I'm training to be hairdressers. I just closed everything down because I'm married. And then I carried on. So one day he said, I'm taking you to UK. Ooh, is that not the place where they speak English? How am I going to survive? So we did all the paperwork. I came to the UK. The first day I stepped at the airport, we came via Gatwick Airport. It's like a village, is nothing like where I come from. Nobody told me a fairy tale about this place. I have no clue. said, okay, I'll make it work. And then we went home. He was living in a basement in Crystal Palace, bless me. I was closer to the train station and where the sports stadium is. So at least if they throw the light, I can see it. So at the basement, all that you see is a little window to a light, unless you come outside. So it's more of a dungeon, really. And he works at night shift. So even the very first night I stepped in the country, he went to work. There was no communication. It's like everybody is doing their own thing. I'm new here. I don't even know how to use the cooker or anything. It's just nobody asks if you're okay, no even good morning, nothing. So one morning when he came back from work, I said good morning to him and he said, good morning. And I went, oh, is that all that you can say? You've been away to work and then you are coming back in the morning. Is that what you I'm tired. Okay, sorry. And then I left him alone, made his meal, did everything. He ate his food and then he went to sleep. So this was a routine. Come back from night shift. I have to make sure the food is ready. And then he eats and go to sleep. No communication or whatsoever. So one day, oh goodness me, I sat down. We didn't have TV at then, and I don't go out. I've never been shopping. All that I'm wearing is the clothes. I came in January 6th, so you can imagine in the beginning of winter, and all that I brought was the African things that I brought with me, and that's not to fight winter or to do anything. Well, Matthew, that's why I'm not scared of cold. He always said to me that I'm like a polar bear. So I had all the African things, and that's all I have. So sometimes I got used to it really. Sometimes I just sit there, either making a hair or knitting something or drawing something or, something imagination for quite some time. And then eventually the landlord said the agent is not paying the rent that we have been paying to the agent. So he's taking his property. And I said, well, God, this is really good. We are at least going to move from this house. And we moved from the basement to the top flat. It was the same building. A property, 2 bedroom, becomes available upstairs. So we went upstairs. And then no communication or whatsoever. I'm just following. And then when we got to the agent's office and said, you need to sign a new contract because you cannot use the basement one. I said, okay. And then he came to sign. No communication or whatsoever. Didn't ask me if I'm happy about the property or not, or what is the plan. Just went ahead and signed his name. The agent realized that he wasn't asking me anything or wants me involved. So he said, are you not going to include the lady? He says, I'm taking responsibility of the rent and everything. She's not going to pay anything, so it doesn't really matter. I was standing there and I was crying. So I said, okay, that's fine. He signed everything, paperwork and everything. And then when we were coming out of the agent's office, I asked him, are you know, is that not the place where you take your what's it called, tenancy agreements and other things to look for jobs and other things because everything is documentation. And now that my name is not on there, for instance, if they need a proof of address, how am I going to do that? Because I've heard someone saying it, and so how am I going to say do that? He went, you tell them that you don't live anywhere. I tell them that I don't live anywhere. But I thought I came because of you. Well, you do as you are told. Okay, yes, sir. So that that moment was a difficult time. And I remember when I was coming, I was pregnant, 6 months pregnant. And then I don't know, for some reason I lost the baby. And that was even a big mess because he was looking forward to have his first child at 47 at the time. And I have messed it up for him. So the emotional drama, everything is just a miserable African girl stepped into the UK in someone's room without a help. That's all I saw myself. I don't go out. I don't go to church. I don't go to funeral. I don't go to party. I don't have a friend, no one to talk to. And it takes me about sometimes 3 months to use his phone to tell my mom that I'm okay. And sometimes I feel like, oh, okay, it's okay. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. That's all I was looking for. And I could see the light, and I was focusing on the light. And then um, we moved into this property. So when he went to work, because I know how he is, I spent the whole night bringing everything from downstairs, upstairs, including the mattress, carrying it myself, everything upstairs. So the next morning when he came, he was going downstairs. So I met him at the door and I said, I've brought everything upstairs. So, oh, okay. That's it. I brought everything downstairs, including the bed, the wardrobe, and everything upstairs. And all that I get is okay. Okay, I got used to it. So I made his meal, went to bed. And then I realized I'm pregnant again through stress and everything. We went to the hospital and they said, You've lost the baby. Ah, he told his parents in Africa that this woman is useless. She cannot give us a baby. So let's get rid of her. So his parents made an arrangement, getting another woman for him. So I was not even looked at. All that I am is an object in the house, cooking his meals, satisfying him in bed, and the rest is history. So sometimes you can see me coming from Brixton. Those who know from Brixton to Crystal Palace, you can see the distance. I had my trolley and then dragging it from Brixton all the way to Crystal Palace train station because he cannot give me money for bus pass because I'm useless and I cannot do anything. Well, and then I'll do all this to make his meal, do everything for him. And then one day he came home with a TV. Hooray! Finally, I can watch TV. I can hear a noise that is really, well, I don't know. He brought a TV, set it all up, and then I was just sitting there watching what he's doing. And then the first channel was BBC. And then early in the morning on BBC, they do children program with Mr. Tambo. So Mr. Tambo, I brought no tissue today because I promised myself I'm not going to cry. Um, I started watching Mr. Tambo, and then I learned how to speak English because you have to go to school in Africa to speak English. Thank you so much. I didn't bring tissue because I promised myself not to cry. Thank you. So, Mr. Tambo will say something to the children. We are going out. We are doing this to to the children, and I started. Oh, okay. So I had a notebook. I came with a notebook and a pen, and I still have it. One day I'll look for it. And then everything that they are saying, because it comes with what's the word? You know, them writing that come on the screen. That's the one. So everything that there is, and some of the things we've heard it, but we don't really know what it means. So I just write everything, and then I started using that. Because going to the GP, he have to speak for me, even though I can speak a little to express myself of how I'm feeling, but he does all the talking when we go to the GP. And then one day he said to the GP, what's the verdict? There's no point of coming here. She's fine. She doesn't need anything. And then the GP gave me this book about having babies and early starts and whatnot. So one day I was reading this book, watching Mr. Tambo alongside. So if you can hear me speaking this amount of English, thanks to Mr. Tambo. Yes, so I had this book that I read a little bit and then also watch Mr. Tambo a little bit. And then one night I felt I wasn't feeling well. So the next morning, I begged him to book an appointment because what he thought was if I go alone, I don't know what will happen. So he always have to go with me. So even if I have to tell someone how I'm feeling, there's no space of doing so. So we went and the GP said, oh, she's pregnant. Okay. And then that was, I think, my gate free. So after losing 6 pregnancies, I then have my daughter, Wilma. And then after Wilma, I realized I was pregnant again and then had William. And then after them, so to put it all together, I've had 11 miscarriages. And none of them was in the hospital to have emotional treatment or physical treatment. You just get on with it. So that's what I was doing. And then one day, one of the babies did number 2. So I had to bring it downstairs. I was wearing a night dress, was already in bed. And then it happened. So when I changed her, I decided to bring it outside to the bin. And then when I came, all the doors slammed shut. So in my night dress and in the slippers, I was standing outside. It was flat A to flat J. So I pressed all the buzzers and somebody let me in into the main entrance. But to go into my room, he had a key because we didn't have a key. He always go to work with the keys. And I had to stay outside in the winter till the next morning in the corridor. And then in the next morning, because I know who he was, well, I said to him, I just came to throw it outside, and the door slammed shut. Didn't say anything, didn't ask me anything. I followed him upstairs. He opened the door. Where's my food? I said, it's in the kitchen. Well, you don't expect me to do. So this were some of the African men behavior. They once they married you, they feel like you are some sort of object or a property or ornament, that all that they do is what makes them happy. There was nothing like communication. There's nothing. It's just what I'm telling you. And one day, well, I find myself that Wilma is 2 years old, and I was watching TV, and then I saw they were saying in the news that the government is funding for children's nursery. And I said, okay, maybe I can speak to. There was a nursery close to us. I went there, spoke to the lady, and she said, oh, you have to be 3 to get that funding. But if you are not, then you have to pay for it. I said, okay, I will do it. So when I told him about it, he said, well, he can't pay for anything. They get child benefits, and that's enough. I said, okay. Child benefit is for children. So then I will use the money to do that. I used the child benefit to pay for the nursery. And then he was going for 2 days in a week because that's what I can afford. And then he has this, I don't know whether it's occult or not. He said on Wednesday is a bad day, and he burned this different type of candles, different incense, speak gibberish, and woe betide you if anyone step into that room. So I'll drop the child to school on Monday, and then the Wednesday I will not go, but I have paid for it. So one day the nursery manager came to knock on our door because it's just across the road. And she said, where is the woman? I said, she's at home. Is she okay? I said, yeah, she's fine. Then why is she not in school? I said, well, his dad says Wednesday is not a good day for a child to go to school, but I've only came to the country, so I don't know what's going on. Ah, he heard me talking to the manager, and that night, only God knows what happened. So the next day, I told the nursery manager, I'm taking my child because I don't want any problems from, that sort of stuff. And she said, why? I said, well, this is what my husband is saying, and I cannot afford to because we don't have anywhere to go. And she said, no, that's not true. Bring the child to school and let him come to the school and talk to me, the manager. And I said, well, he's not going to say anything to you. He's coming to me, and I cannot afford it. So it's better to leave my child at home. And she said, in that case, I'm going to report it to social service. So what? Yeah, I will. And I've already read in the news about social service and what they do. So I said, how am I going to survive if they take my child away? Because that's the only happiness I have. Okay. She said, then I will change the days for you. So she was going on Monday and Thursday. For some time also, the funding finally arrived where she have to go all week. And some days that I'm not well, the child will not be going to school because he will not take them. He said he hasn't got time. He's come from a night shift and he's tired. So he cannot do that. So whether I'm sick or not, I have to take the children to school wherever they need to be. It's me. There's no money involved. So I've walked any walk that there is in UK that I forgot that there is even something called driving. So I don't even know how to drive. I don't have a car. Um, so one day he woke up and said, this marriage is not working, and I'm somebody who doesn't sit at one place, and I cannot waste my time with you and the children. Okay. So what's going to happen? Well, when the time is right, I will let you know. So one night I saw him parking, and I said, not another night again of parking. Saw him parking. He parked the whole night and then put his bags away. He went to work, didn't come back. And when we called his phone, he wasn't answering. So he came 3 days later, and I couldn't ask him where he was because he didn't tell me. And I don't want to start another drama that I cannot finish. So I didn't ask him where he went. He came in with a taxi outside and he said he's going to Ghana. He's going to live in Ghana. He can't stay here in the UK again. So he packed his bags, left, and then it was just me. So before that drama of him packing, one of the nursery teachers told me that you can approach the council for help. So we went to, because we are Crystal Palace, we went to Bromley Council, and they said we can only house you when I think they said we have to do certain things. I didn't know what that was. And he said he's not ready to do it. So they said to me, then you are going out of area. What is out of area? So we sat from the council from 7 a.m. so 5 p.m. that they were closing. The breakfast I gave to the children, that's all we have eaten. I was still in my coat, sitting there watching the children running here and there at the council all day. 5 p.m., they hand me a keys with address and they said, you are going to Rochester. And I said, where is Rochester? They said, go to Bromley South, take a train and and then ask anyone that you are going to Rochester. Okay. We took the train, got to Rochester in the middle of nowhere. They said that is army campsite. So it's really in the bushes. We got to Rochester, we took a taxi, they took us there. And then we got there, there's no lights, there's nothing in the property really. And we've left all our stuff, no food, no water. So I said, oh my God, not another drama. Okay, so I knocked on the neighbor's door and I said, can I have hot water to wash the children? And then she said, oh, are you new here? I said, yeah, I am. And she said, oh, I can help you out. She knocked on everybody's door in the flat to bring anything that there is. Sorry. And I've always been somebody, I don't know how well people know me, but I'm somebody, I'm not the take type. I always want to give, give, give. And then now it's my turn to take from people. And all this is lovely, it's beautiful. I'm grateful. How can I accept this? Okay. So I did. And then the neighbor said to me, oh, there is a nursery here. We can take you there. And we went to the nursery. They had saucepans, they have food, they have everything. And they say, you can have it. I said, me, hey, I don't deserve this. I'm not taking anything. That's not how I was trained. And they said, it's not about you, it's for the children. It was all good. It was too good. I was so grateful. And I said, well, I took it. The lady who runs the center drove me back home. Her name is Ruth Lindsay. Now I think she runs a food bank at Lion Garage, City Praise. That's her. If you see her, please say thank you to her for me. I don't know if she can remember me. She drove me all the way to London to bring some of my stuff to Rochester for a few weeks that we were there. One day we had a call, and the council said, we've got you a place in London, in Taunton Heath. So if you can pack your things and come, because if you stay there another night, we cannot afford it. So I packed all my stuff, went back to London, Taunton Heath, lived there for 3 years. And then one day, someone from Croydon Council came and said, this property is not suitable because KFC was downstairs and the heat and everything, there was no fire extinguisher, no fire exit. So once you're way in, that's it. If you are coming back down, then you need to come close to the shop. And in case of fire, it's dangerous. So I told the council again, and they said, you are going to Gravesend. I pick up the children from school at 5 p.m. I wasn't driving, so we went to the train station to take a train to London Bridge, and around 10:56, the last train is at 11 o'clock. These little children with two big suitcases each, and then we had to make our way to the escalators to get this last train to Gravesend. So I told the children to wait at the on the bottom, and then I keep taking the bus, throwing them on the escalators, and then so everything can go up there. And then I saw other people on the other side trying to get the bags for me, and it was so beautiful watching other people give me that hand that I've never had. I've never had any help or anything. I said, okay, well, at least people are helping me. So they even helped me pack all the bags into the train with the children. And then we came to Gravesend, got here around 12:20. That's where we got here nowhere. We don't know where we were going. All the buses have closed, and all that we know was buses. That's what they told us. So we don't even have credit on my phone to call for a taxi. And luckily, as soon as I came out of the train station, I saw outside certain taxi had a stop there. So we went there and said, "Can you take us?" He said, "We don't take card at night. It's only cash." I said, "It's not a problem." Got into the taxi, came to our address, came, there's nothing in except mouse. And they were really big, running across the room. I said, we'll make it work. There was no curtains, mattress, or anything. We just scratched ourselves with a sleeping bag, and all the clothes that were in the bag, we wore them because that's how cold we were. And then we had our first night. The next morning, I had to take the children to school back in London. The little money that I had 200 pounds with me. So Monday to Friday, all the 200 gone because I have to take them to London to school and then back because we couldn't get school here for them. And then we can only get it for the boy, but not the girl. And then I've always bring them closer. They're inseparable, and dad is gone and I'm leaving them in school. How are they going to be like? And I didn't want them to grow up the way I grew up. Because at least if you had my mommy and there was no money, maybe I could have coped, but it was okay. So we managed to find a school, Chantry, for the boy. And then one day I was out and about. For 2 months, the girl didn't have school. One day I was out and about and I saw people were campaigning about who to vote for the next election. And then I saw Adam with his members talking to people, and he said, can you vote for us? So he was handing me the leaflet, and I said, hold on, I will make you a deal. If you keep your hold, I'll vote for you. And then I bravely said to him, I have two children here. I'm a single mother. There's no school for the other one, and I'm going to university as well. So it's difficult leaving one child at home all day to go to uni and take the other one to school, and I don't even know how to pick them up. So he said, where do you live? He took all my details, and then bless him. He wrote to whoever he needs to write to. And then within a few weeks, someone contacted me and said, we've been told to give your daughter a school. The only school that is available is Green High Primary School. And the other one is Chantry. So how can I go from Green High to Chantry? They said we can give the child a bus pass, but not you. So that's fine. If I drop her, I will just walk back home. And it was a struggle, but bless God. Within a week, she got a place in Chantry. And before she got a place, the school wrote to me and said, you, you can, we refused you for the school application, but you can appeal. And I said, what's appeal? He said, you have to go to court and then, okay. Right, God is my strength. So I went to, and they gave me the court address, all the documents that I need. Didn't read any of them because some of them were big grammar that I don't even understand. I don't know how to deal with it. So I said, God is my lawyer. So I'm going. I went to the courtroom, just be myself, stand tall. When they, luckily, it wasn't like a big people. It was about 20 people there, and the school came with 6 representatives talking on behalf of the school. They have this thick of paperwork that they are about to quote for me to tell me why they can't accept my daughter in school. And I said to them, they said, did you come with anyone? I said, no, I don't have anyone. I came by myself. But I have a big man in my bag and in my heart and in my head. And that's Jesus. That's the only lawyer I came here with. And they were laughing at me. I said, okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. So they started everything. And then the teachers and everyone that the school board, everyone was speaking their big grammar. All that I hear was people are talking because emotionally I wasn't there. All that I'm thinking is my daughter should be in school. And then I go back to uni and then life can begin again. So they called me and said, what the teachers are saying, what have you got to say? And I said, well, I know the school belongs to them. I didn't build it. I never even fetched a water for the builders. But all that I know is that every child deserves a chance to be in school. I never got a good education, and I believe that education is the main thing for people to thrive in life. It has to be some sort of education. It's not all academically. And in this place, what I've seen is if we fail to prepare people, then we are preparing them to fail. If she doesn't have an education and then she's living at home, she's doing other stuff and be a burden on the council, then she's going to receive a child benefit, a universal credit. So I name all the benefits I can remember. Not that I have a clue over it, but I just heard it in the news and I want to speak it. So I said she's going to be a burden on the nation if we don't train her. I never had a good education, but that doesn't stop me from coming here today and say that God has done it. So I believe she deserves a chance so that history doesn't repeat itself. And then I said that we finished from the court, went home. 3 days later, I had a big letter. Not that I read it. I just saw your daughter has been admitted in the school, and that's the only line I was looking forward to, not the whole chunk of the book. So I said, okay. Didn't check the school address or anything. I just said, Lord, thank you. So 3 days later, the school wrote to me and said, your daughter has been admitted in our school. When do you want to come? How is the uniform? And I said, it's not a problem. Went to the uniform shop, got her uniforms, got her pack lunch, and that was the happiest day in her life. Took her to school. Finally, she can go to school. And at age 7, she have to come home herself with her brother. And I said to her, when you are coming, make sure you walk straight to the house because I'll be watching you. That's what I told them, even though I was at uni. And they knew I was watching to them. They just come home, close the door, and their food will be ready, wash themselves, and then eat their food. So I come back home. And this was what we were doing for the first 12 weeks. And then finally, one day I was searching for childminders to pick them up from school and other things. And then I saw a list of childminders. Each one I called, oh, I'm fully booked. I cannot pick from school. And I said, oh my God, then I need to defer my course again. No more uni for me because I cannot let them continue coming home by themselves. It's not safe. And so I said, I was praying over it that something should happen. Who should I speak to? And then one day I was coming, walking along the road, and then I saw this lady, which I suspect she's an African. So I said hello to her. And she said, are you okay? And I said, I'm looking for someone to look after my children, but I'm looking for a professional childminder. And she said, oh, I know a lady. She's a Ghanaian. I hope you don't mind. In my head, I was like, Jesus. She's a Ghanaian, so I don't have to go through the English again. Even though Mr. Tambo have trained me, I don't have to go through the system of speaking English again. And I went to see this lady. She said, oh, I can pick them from school, bring them home, and then later in the evening, you can pick them up anytime you want. I said, yes. And then I accepted that offer. She was picking them. So in the morning, I'll drop them as early as 7. And then I will go to the train station, catch my train to Farringdon to go to uni for 4 years. And then finally, COVID came. So we had to learn remotely. That was the best thing. Sometimes I can have my Zoom on, I'm not even there, with a recorder, and I go to pick up the children. That was the best thing. So if COVID was a disaster for anyone, well, it came on my favor. So I managed to pick up the children. And each and every single day that we wake up, I thank God that we are still alive. And my journey has, I always say to people that I meet, and I said, children's brain are like a clay, a wet clay. It's soft, and once you drop it now, it pick up something in them. It can pick up a broken glass, it can pick up a stone. And they always say that to make a beautiful glass or a beautiful vase, the clay have to be soft and beautiful. So for them to grow up, not to be like the way I grew up, I need to make sure emotionally and psychologically they are prepared. So whatever I lost psychologically, even though financially I'm not rich, but we do have a food over our table every single day. And therefore I prepare them emotionally and psychologically as well, so that they can know that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And there is always a God that we can cry out for whenever we need Him. And we cannot sit down to say, I need God before we call Him. He's always there. You can always talk to Him. I spoke to this man, and that is why I am who I am. That's why I'm smiling, because whenever I'm in the house of the Lord or wherever I am, I see what God has done rather than the problems I have, because I cannot continue to remember the problems I have. It's not going to end me anywhere. That's why I keep saying, maybe someone will be encouraged today. Everybody is going through something that is not nice, but there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And there is God that you can talk to. He's not far away from us, He's close. And He hears prayers, He answered prayers, and He's a miracle working God. I have seen Him, and I'm not letting Him go. So please don't let yours go. Thank you.